悪霊退散
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about some of the things that is happening with Tekken. But first, I want to start off with Street Fighter because we always talk about how successful Street Fighter is, how bigger it is than all of the other fighting games, right? They're kind of leading the charge. But also, that's not necessarily the whole truth. Street Fighter dominates on PC. And then when you look at the time zones, you can see that it's coming from the Asia region of the world, right? But then also for Mortal Kombat, they suck on Steam. But for PlayStation, they are always in the top like 30 games played for the month. And Tekken and Street Fighter is not there as well. Now, Tekken 8 was kind of doing good in both, good on PlayStation, good on Steam. Season 2 is not really doing that hot. But we have this graph here, and I won't spend a lot of time breaking down these numbers. You see how big of a margin the Asia region has over all the others. It doesn't matter which graph you look at, Asia dominates. And when you see Harada talking about Japan, this Tekken Bloodline was marketed very hard in Japan. When you see that they're scheduling the Tekken talks around the Japanese time zone, this is why Tekken is trying so hard to tap into that Asia demographic because, I mean, look at what it's doing for Street Fighter. But moving on now, we have this thing to talk about on the topic of the developers. You have Harada-san. He went to Comic-Con. Currently, it's day 1. Day 2 will happen tomorrow. I do not know if he will be a part of day 2 and what he will be doing. If something new happens, then I'll make a video then. But the first day, it was these celebrities who were headlining the event. There was billboards and posters all over the place with Harada's face on it and all of these other guys, which is amazing to see. Now, at this event, Harada talked a little bit about Tekken. He was answering questions. And the two most important questions at this time that I want to highlight is 1, why does Tekken 8 lack game modes? And then 2, will they re-release Tekken Tag Tournament 1 or Tekken Tag Tournament 2? Now, when you talk about the first question, Harada said in response to this, and the question was specifically about offline modes like team attack, team battle, and survival, right? And Harada said that the reason why a lot of these modes disappeared is because the demand was practically low. It didn't exist. And this is something that he also said about the tournament mode of Tekken 7 that's not in Tekken 8, and he said there was simply no one playing it. And then he also follows it up and says that not only is the demand low, but the development is difficult to do a lot of these things. And you know, players now want some of this stuff to be online or have online leaderboards. You would have to imagine that that would add to the difficulty, but also you know, ignoring the difficult part of it and just thinking about what type of rewards can you gain, what type of benefit will there be to adding these game modes, or what I like to suggest is like revolving game modes, because there's also this second topic that usually is tacked on with this about people getting bored of the game modes very soon. Add a time attack, people are bored within a week. Add a survival, add a team battle. Some of these will live on longer than others, but will the players get bored and then the game mode is truly dead? I mean, how many of you guys went back and tried Tekken Ball? I mean, I know everyone says it's boring and whatnot, but did you go back and experience it and try to figure out why it's boring and then pass that information to the developers so they can make the game mode better? Now, that's his response. We'll see what type of game modes show up in the future. I know they said they wanted to add stuff to the Tekken Lounge. If it's successful, I think it's successful. Whether or not Season 2 bouncing issues have delayed any plans they may have had, I mean, we'll see. The second question now, will they re-release Tekken Tag Tournament 1 and or 2? Now, even though the question was specifically about these two games, I don't know if the answer applies to like a Tekken 3, a 5, right? But the question was specifically about the tag games. And Harada said they're thinking about it and they're talking with the company and there's a possibility for it. Now, we have the video here and I'll try to play a little bit of it, but the audio is just not the best. But if you really like put your ear, you can hear it.
Well, I'm discussing in the company and talking about the old titles. Like there's still a possibility. So I'm now discussing in the company, so there's a possibility in the future.
And this is different from what Harada said in the past. Harada once said in the past that the older games just doesn't age well, which I think is kind of a hot take, right? I think the old games have a certain style to it, a certain feel to it, and they age. But to see that he is considering it, to see that it's not completely out of the question anymore, is good. If they're willing to bring back, Tech Attack Tournament 2, which is one of the worst performing Tekkens of all time, that one can make that game sales go up. But then two, when you talk about Tech Attack Tournament 1, I mean, the game that's right next to that on either side is 3 and 4. If they do decide to release either one of these games, hopefully players really go back and buy them and play them. And then also hopefully that incentivizes the developers to release the other big games that people want to experience, right? So it seems like the tide is turning towards us being able to experience some of these older Tekken games, but I just hope, and also game modes, but also I hope that the players hold up their end of the bargain and actually support these things if and when they do happen. Now, I do have to retrace our steps a little bit, so I'll just make it short. But you guys know how Spaghetti and Rip both got removed from commentary. It was a really big thing that happened. A lot of people were upset. We have a follow-up to that. And the only reason I'm talking about this thing in particular is because this is a rarity for it to happen. You have Fate Esports, which is a tournament org, which means they sponsor players. They respond to this situation and they say, this is truly shocking. Spaghetti and Rip are pillars of the Tekken community. Without people like them, the scene wouldn't be what it is. Hoping to see them back on board as soon as possible and hoping the entire community backs this. A message like this coming from a tournament org is wild. Rip responds and says, thanks, man. Crazy to see messages like this from an org. But also, you guys are the org that helped put Pakistan on the Tekken map. You guys understand what goes into making the scene what it is today. Fate responds, this is the last tweet I'll read about this situation. There's something different about the Tekken community. Quite frankly, there's nothing like it. The bonds are real, and we've witnessed the dynamic across all of esports. So when core figures are sidelined without any explanation, it sends a chilling message to the entire community. And when we say core figures, we mean you two played pivotal roles in making esports what it is today. Your voices are entrenched in all of the biggest moments as an organization. So the least we can do is raise our voices. This is crazy. That's an org saying that, right? But we'll see whether or not the developers will respond, revert their decision. So far, they said nothing, which leads me to believe that this will stick. But another thing that I want to talk about, and this is kind of an issue that I've seen with the tournament format that they just recently announced, related to the region of the world, Trinidad. I still don't understand how Trinidad moved from America 2 to America 3, while the rest of the Caribbean remains in America 2. So basically, when people play in a tournament, they just travel to wherever's close, unless they got a real sponsor behind them, then they could go all over the world. But for the people who could only play locally, the Trinidad is screwed because all of their other surrounding areas is in a different region, and according to the rules, you can't really go to other regions and compete. You can't do that. So they have been separated from everyone who's close to them, and they can't compete with them without breaking the rules. So I think this is more so just an oversight. I don't think this is anything to be upset about, but I did want to highlight this because with oversights, the developers won't know to correct it unless we do say, hey, check the fine print for us, please, right? So I just want to mention that, spread the word, and hopefully the developers can fix it. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is another request from the players, and I think this one is interesting, and I've seen it happen over and over again. And it's basically requesting, how you could pick your character whether you want to be on the left side or the right side. They're asking for a feature where you can do random select. So every single time you start a match, you play on both sides. Now, Harada responded to this in the past, and he said that the reason why he potentially wouldn't want to add this is because a lot of the people don't know how to play on both sides. They get confused very easily, which in my opinion is more of a reason to teach people both sides. You can't just pretend that one side doesn't exist because people don't know how to play on that side. Give them more experience. Also, he was saying most people might not even use this. And to that, I say it's not the fact that no one will use it or not that many people will use it. Something as integral as a random select will just give the people who are interested in using it more experience, because a lot of people would love to have that turned on so they could get the tournament experience or that tournament practice more. You lose a rock, paper, scissors, you can't pick what side you on. This random feature would simulate that.